Welcome everyone. This is the Society of Thoracic Surgeons Congenital Heart Surgery Database user group call for Tuesday, March the 23rd. Thank you everyone for joining today. On the call with me today from the STS, we have Carol Chrome, myself, we have Addie Dolan, let's see who else from the STS side. I think that's it from the STS side. We have our core group representatives. We have Chastity and Leslie. I don't see Janet on the call. I don't think Janet's been able to make the call today. From our IQVIA team, we have Rhonda, Joe, Melanie, Michelle, and Steve. Thank you everyone for joining. And we also have from our surgeon leadership, we have Dr. Meyer joining the call today. So thank you everyone for joining. We'll have a quick STS update, and then I'm going to turn things over to IQVIA. Rhonda and team are going to present slides of our reporting dashboards that they've developed for the congenital database. We wanted to give you all a view and a walkthrough of those dashboards. And once that IQVIA is done with their updates, then we'll turn things over to you all for questions. Again, just a friendly reminder to please submit your clinical questions to the FAQs. We're not going to be addressing any clinical questions on this call today or moving forward. Ideally, we need to have those clinical questions submitted so we can have a thorough discussion with our surgeon leaders and our core group to make sure that we are all on the same page and get those questions answered appropriately and have time to, again, have those discussions, those thorough discussions for those clinical questions. All right, for our STS updates, again, the 2021 harvest schedule, as you all are aware, is posted. And again, the spring 2021 harvest close date has not yet been set. Again, just as a reminder or review for anyone who has not been on previous calls, the congenital task force, as well as our data manager community, has asked that we not close the spring harvest until you all have had a chance to get those 2020 harvest analysis results. And again, as we had discussed on the last call and on our previous task force calls, we're looking at a May data analysis release date. So hopefully, again, we don't have a hard date, a hard deadline of when those analyses will be available, but we're looking at around a May timeframe. So, and again, just a reminder, STS will provide you all with a minimum of 2 weeks notice prior to the harvest close date. So, and also just a reminder that to please continue to submit your data, get your data clean, and the 2021 harvest does include procedures up through 12/31/2020. The training manual, the March updates were posted and are available out on the STS website. Our April updates, I'm working on those, and those will be posted to the STS website by April the 2nd. Primary procedure mismatch report, you all are familiar with this. Again, just if you have any questions, review the report overview as posted in the IQVIA library. And again, just a friendly reminder that the final primary procedure assignment does occur in analysis at DCRI. And again, that final primary procedure assignment occurs in analysis at DCRI. IQVIA does not change your data, but again, that will occur on the DCRI side when the data goes to analysis. I've had a few questions about the upcoming audit. So as you all are aware, we did not have an audit in 2020 due to COVID and the craziness that was involved with COVID. And so we have our 2020 audit scheduled. For those of you that have not been involved in an audit before, just a little bit of background. The purpose of the audits is to examine the accuracy, consistency, and the overall completeness of the data that is collected and is within the STS national database. 10% of the participating sites in the congenital database are selected at random by the data warehouse. So those, again, that data selection is, the random selection is done by the data warehouse, not STS. The beginning of April, notification letters will be sent to the sites that have been selected for the 2021 audit. So again, you all will be getting a notification letter from the STS directly if you have been selected as a site for audit for 2021. Once you're notified by STS CRS, our auditor, will follow up with you with their specific auditor instructions. STS does have an audit website with information, but Emily, our audit contact, our senior coordinator, she is working with marketing to get that information updated. Hopefully all of that information will be updated within the next week. If you have any questions regarding the audit process, please contact Emily Conrad directly. I've included her email address here. Again, her email is conrad@sts.org. So again, if you do have any questions about the audit process, please contact Emily directly. And again, the notification letters will be going out the beginning of April, followed up by auditor instructions shortly after that. I did also include a link to the STS database audit page. And again, Emily is working to get this information updated with the 2021 audit document. So please, I would suggest checking back within probably at the end of the week or beginning of next week to see if that site has been completely updated with all the 2021 audit information. Also, again, if you weren't on the call our last call, just again, another plea to please sign up as a mentor. If you do have at least 3 years experience as being a congenital data manager, we have a list of mentees that are awaiting a mentor. Again, if you have questions about the mentor process, please reach out to Addie Dolan or mentee. Please reach out to Addie and she can assist you. Her contact information is listed here, adolan@sts.org. And again, please know that we do need both mentors and we need mentors. We have a list of mentees, but if you are still relatively new and you have not registered for a mentor, please reach out to Addie and get signed up. And again, please, we do encourage you, if you have a few years of experience as a congenital data manager, please, we encourage you to get registered for a mentor. Chastity gave a great synopsis on the last call of everything that's involved in being a mentor. So if you would like more information on that, that webinar is actually posted on the STS website, and you can go back and review that webinar and listen to Chastity's information about everything that's involved in being a mentor. And again, we greatly appreciate you taking the time to register to be a mentor. Next, I'm going to turn things over to Joe at IQVIA for our IQVIA update. Joe?
Great, thanks so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Just a few things from me today. A reminder of items that are being released this coming weekend on March 27th. A couple fixes for the primary procedure report, starting with STS 6168. The report is currently displaying the STS primary procedure as combination code 2110 when it should be displaying 1180. So that should be resolved this coming weekend. And then STS 6108, the exception rule should suggest the highest stat values code of the Norwood procedure 870 instead of the superior cavalopulmonary anastomoses and PA reconstruction, which is 2130. And so that should be resolved as well. A few items that are currently under review that we are looking into. STS 6239, we have reports from some sites that they're uploading corrections for mismatches that are identified on the procedure mismatch report. But when they do that, those changes are not being reflected when they run the report again. So we are looking into whether there's an issue with the data submissions or if there's an issue with the report itself. And so we will provide updates on that when we have them. STS 6228, we're looking into a potential discrepancy when either 1280 or 1660 are selected, that they're not being correctly identified as the primary procedure per the rule exception, the first one. So we are looking into that issue as well. And then finally, in regard to the missing variable report, STS 6211, this is similar to another bug that we had resolved. The MVR is showing the prothrombin complex concentrate for dose 3. I believe previously we had fixed 3 dose 3, but now 4 dose 3 is coming up as missing when it should not be, and we are looking into getting that fixed as well. I believe that's all I had.
Sorry, I was on mute. Might help if I actually unmute myself. Thanks, Jill.
No problem.
All right, so next I'm going to turn things over to Rhonda, and she is going to give a overview of the risk-adjusted and benchmark reports that the IQVIA team has created.
Thank you. I can share my screen real quick. These slides are also going to be available in the deck so that you can go back and look at them after the call. But what I'll do is I will share real quick and give you a interactive demo of what this what the report's going to look like and how you'll navigate around through it. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. All right, so this is the new landing page for the report. So once you log into the application, I am in a local environment where we build the reports. And so this is local to my machine using mock data. So I just wanted to put that out there that this is, once you get into the report, it'll be just a slightly different view in the application. And again, I'm using mock data. So if you need the number, yep.
Sorry, Rhonda, for interrupting. This is Carol. So when they log in and they go to the operational reports tab on the left, there'll be a new tab that they need to hit, correct, to get to this section?
Correct. There'll be a new report link. So they'll have a link with a description of the report. And yep, you would click that link and it'll take you to the parameters page where you select the harvest period for the report you want to view.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And just to make sure everybody heard Rhonda, this is all mock data. So it's not real data, it's all fake data.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So if something looks wonky, that's why. All right, so once you've selected your harvest period and you've executed that report, you'll come to a landing page that looks like this, where we've broken out the reports into the 3 different sections, the risk adjusted and analytical reports. So those tables that you got that gave you your operations submitted, the patients and analysis, those counts, along with that model 1 star rating report, which we'll look at. We're also introducing a new graph for extubated in the OR that we'll look at. And then in the middle section, we have those lesion specific reports. So by procedure, and I've left the tables here off to the side to kind of remind, since we're moving from one report to another, of what they were called previously, but these are those lesion specific reports here, the table 20 through table 28. And then for those who are registered in the anesthesia program, you'll have this extra section off to the side here for the anesthesia reports. And then finally at the top here, you'll have a export report button, which will allow you click the export report and it will pull together all of these pages into one PDF export, similar to what you previously received in that packet from DCRI. So going into the first report, what we've done is we've just taken that table and we've created it here within the tool. What you'll see, the common theme throughout the report is we've, for the STS, highlighted that the headers red. So it stands out and you know that these are the STS numbers. And then for the participant, we have shaded the numbers blue to, again, show that distinction between here's the participant and the STS. I will be adding the footnote. I haven't done that yet, but what you'll see here, this asterisk next to each number, the asterisk means that you can click on that number and you can drill down into it. So I can click on this count of operations submitted for this time period. I can click see details, and then I would be taken to that underlying data. This is, again, just a table I have loaded here, so it's not representative of that, but this would be your case list. And then you'd have a button here to go back to your report. And so any value that has an asterisk, you would have that functionality of I can see the details that make up that value. So you also have this home button at the top. So once I've come into the report, I've looked at it, I've done my analysis, I can go back home and I've taken back to my landing page where I can access another report.
This is Carol. I just want to point out one thing, and I'm sorry to keep on interrupting.
Oh, no problem.
That home button, if people were not paying attention to that home button is going to save you a lot of extra effort. A lot of times folks don't know that that's an actual thing that you can hit, and they go all the way back out to the beginning and beginning of the operational reports tab, and then things need to load and it takes forever. So make sure that you use that home button, because it'll take you right back to where you are wanting to go, not having to reload the time frames and things like that. Okay, sorry.
Yep, no,
I learned about that home button. It just made me very excited when I understood what it did. So thanks.
no problem. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes. And that is at the top of each report. So you will have the ability to come right back here, clicking that button. So again, just tables. So taking those, the table that we previously had, it's broken down by age group. And what you'll see here is that since there's so much information to present in one place, we broke out neonates and infants from the children and adults, just so that you have more viewing room, and everything isn't just squinched together in one graph, or one table, I should say. So now to give just a different flavor of the reports that we're doing here, this model 1. So again, this is a DCRI runs their modeling. They run their model and then they send us back that data, and we just present that within this report. So IQVIA isn't calculating any of these numbers. It's actual numbers that we receive back from DCRI and we've plugged in. And that is only for this model 1 report. So the other reports we do calculate, but this model 1 is the DCRI reported data that we are just presenting through our UI. There is and I don't know, Carol, did you want to speak to the star rating while we're on the page?
Oh, Leanne can take
Or
that.
Leanne, okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And I know this may raise some concerns or questions for some, but the overall star ratings are represented on the page. The task force did vote to keep the star rating, the actual visualization of the stars on this dashboard. However, just please note that the stars will not be used in public reporting. But again, the star visualization will be on this reporting page, but will not be utilized in public reporting. And also, Rhonda's what the star representation, the text there will be dynamic based on the star. So and she can explain more about that. But again, I just wanted to highlight that the stars will be on this report within the dashboard, but will not be utilized. The star visualizations, the actual stars will not be used in public reporting. Thank you, Rhonda.
Yep, no, thank you, Leanne. Great, and right, like Leanne was saying, so we do have the stars up here, and then we've added the note, and this will be a dynamic note. So based on the number of stars you received, you will see the message, observed mortality is, and then in this example, since there are 3 stars, we would see observed mortality is less than expected based on your institution's case mix. And that's how the message would work. And again, the asterisk represents numbers that you can drill down into. So you would be able to click this and get to the underlying case list for that number.
This is Dr. Meyer. Just one other comment about the stars. Just recognize that only you or your institution can see these pages. So nobody else can know whether or not a given institution's star rating even exists.
Great. Excellent point, Dr. Meyer. Thank you.
Thank you. And so that gets us through the model 1. And back at the home page, we will look at, so we have this, what was formerly known as the Table 18, Table 19, benchmark operations, and then the risk stratified report. And what these are tables that show, in the risk stratified, we're looking by the stat categories. And then on the benchmark operations, we're looking at those benchmark operations, the off bypass coarction, and I'll click on that one next. But what we wanted to point out here is that we have added some extra column, some extra data points in this graph. And I see the STS has dropped off, so I'll have to pick that back up. But what we have here is, you were previously shown the operative mortality, the postoperative length of stay, and the sample size. And then what we've added in now are, you'll have this extubated in the OR, time to initial extubation, and then reintubated for respiratory failure. So we have added in these new data points just to give you a little more insight into that information as it pertains to the stat categories. And then also, let me quickly go here to the benchmark operations. So again, the 3 new sections by the benchmark operations. Wherever there's an asterisk, that is something you can click and drill down into. And
The other thing I like on this report, this is Carol, sorry to interrupt again.
Sure.
The other thing I like on this report is that we're adding in, under the reintubated for respiratory, we're adding in the extubated in OR patients. So you can see those patients that were reintubated and then all other patients. So that's really kind of a neat feature that's being added.
yep, and actually, Carol, this should just say extubated. When we made the update, it didn't pick up in here. So this is all extubations, not just.
Oh, got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. That was my bad. So, yep. All right. So that gives us the benchmark and then the risk stratified updates. And then moving now into the new graph that we have here, which is extubated in the OR. So we do break out by participant and STS. Graphically, that on the form where you're responding to extubated in the OR, so your percent yes, no, and then missing. So at a glance, you can see how you responded to that question as compared to the STS. And so that is a new graph. Pointing out also that it's here under this risk adjusted and analytical, it's under this section. So it's not just for those anesthesia cases. This is for all cases that have been entered. Moving into the lesion specific reports, we have here the table 20 through 28. I won't bore you with all the details of each one of these. I'll just go into one and show that it is a table here where you're looking at the STS values as compared to, or the participant as compared to the STS, I should say. Again, you have the asterisks here, so you will be able to drill down into these numbers and get those underlying details right here from this page. For one other thing actually that I'll point out is after reviewing this with the with leadership, surgeon leadership, we did make the decision for a few of the lesion specific reports, we rolled them up and are looking at them by the actual. So in this example here, we're looking at it as atrial septal defect as a whole. So the incidence, the age, the gender for all atrial septal defect patients are here. But then looking at this tetralogy of, and I'll butcher it, but I think tetralogy of flow repair.
You got it right, Rhonda.
Okay.
You did great.
Yay. But so within this report, we are still breaking it down by those additional categories. So within this one, we're looking at these 4 areas still. So the incidence by each one of these, the age, and so on. So I believe it's 3 reports are now rolled up like that atrial septal defect, and then all others are still broken down by these categories. They're by the categories that you previously saw. And then finally, we have the anesthesia reports section. So just going to the all operations, and this isn't the final. So I wanted to give you an idea of the logo, adding the logo here in the top corner, and how that you'll see that within the report. But you'll have the anesthesia sections. What you'll see here is the logo for the anesthesia. You have your different breakouts here. Again, the STS with the participant. The values with the asterisks are values that you can drill down into. And you'll have the all operations report, and then the CPB, no CPB cardiovascular operations. I didn't get the logo into this one yet, but that will be added to all anesthesia reports. And this one is now looking at it by the op type 1 and 2. Within the all operations, we did remove, I believe it was, we're now just looking at op types 1 through 4. We removed 5, 7. I don't know exactly all the numbers, but we are just looking at now op types 1 through 4 here. So that is a change that you'll notice in this new version of the report. And then finally, we have, previously we were reporting the time to, I believe it was final extubation, and that data point didn't seem to be one that was used. And so instead, it was said that time to initial extubation would give more information, more insight into our population. And so we have switched this to be looking at the time to initial extubation. And we've created the graphs so that they're a little more readable. You get a little more information at first glance. So each group is in its own graph, and you can see your participant relative to the STS. We do have a table down below so that you can see the actual numbers for your counts, the median. We have the 10th percentile, the first and third quartiles, and then your 90th percentile. And then here on the graph, again, you see those graphically displayed, and you can hover and get more details about your data points. That is, we can make adjustments to what is seen there in the hover text, and that does give you a little bit more information as you hover over. Now let me go to the by procedures. And so here you have, again, the same graphs, but now by procedures. And then there are 4 here, and then the final 3 are in this, on this last page. And that really gets us through what the new report is going to look like. I wanted to make sure I've covered every, that's right. This is the other one I wanted to go to. Okay. I skipped over this one initially, but this figure 7 here. So this one was previously reported in multiple little line graphs on one page, and you didn't have the table to give you that tabular display of the numbers. So what we did is we took that figure 7 graph and we created the graph down here, and then we also gave the table view of those numbers so that you can see numerically and graphically those values. And in the graph down here, what you'll see up top is the legend. So your STS is the red dotted line, participant is the red line, and then your light blue areas represents those min and max ranges. And then the dark blue area is your 95% confidence interval. And so what you can see at a quick glance for example, in this category 5 here is that me as the participant, I fell within that 95% confidence interval. We have a note down here that lets you know lower mortalities are to the left, meaning that it's better to be towards the left. And in this instance here, we can quickly see that we performed better than the STS. You do have this slider bar so that you can, let's say category 1, I can't really see clearly where those values fell. So I can use the slider bar to zoom into that to give more focus into an area that may be more condensed when you initially come within the graph. And once you have your slider bar adjusted, you can take this and move it around depending on what you're wanting to look at. And then right click on the line and the reset zoom will take you back to 0. When you leave the report, that also resets the graphs. Leaving the report not only resets the graphs, but let's say you've clicked on a row and you've drilled down into the patient details of the row, and that patient detail tab is populated. When you leave the report, all of that goes away and resets. So that does happen. So that gives us the new view of the figure 7. I did want to touch on that one. And I think that really gets us through what the new reports are going to look like and how you would access them and navigate around within the report. I will, yep.
Rhonda, one question I wanted to go ahead and address while you were here. McCall had wanted to know if you'll be able to print the report or each table separately. So I didn't know if you wanted to go ahead and.
Oh, yep, actually you can. So when I'm, for example, if I'm in this here and I just wanted to print this one, you will have, not all of these options will be available to you because again, I'm in my local where we create the report environment, but what you will have a file and you can file export and you will have the different options to export. It actually exports really nice to PowerPoint. If you wanted to use that, I can give you a quick preview, depending that everything locally is set up correctly. My last name is Murphy, which means what can go wrong usually does go wrong. But let's see if I was able to export that. I don't see where it went. Alas, let me see. Let me try one more time. Export a new presentation. Yep, I said a new presentation. Let's see. Oh, it has been opening on another screen. I'm sorry. If only I would have known that. Okay, so there, it does open. You can expand it, make it bigger, but you do have the ability to export it. So PowerPoint, you can play around with. The quality is pretty good when it comes out, so you can kind of how I'm doing, expanding it and stuff, and notice you're not really losing any of the font. But you can do PowerPoint, and PDF is an option that also exports well. So yeah, you can export individual reports. That said, you could also, I just picked the one, when I did pick the PowerPoint, I picked the active page. You can do all pages if you pick PowerPoint or PDF. So you do have more options outside of the one export report button for printing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rhonda.
Yep, no problem.
All right. That was great. Awesome. 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 Thank you. That's a lot of work and it's amazing. So thank you so much, Rhonda.
No problem. Any more questions that are in the window that I should answer?
Let's see. I'm just looking through. It's so the asterisks. Just McCall wanted to know if it was consistent for all reports for the drill down. So I believe the answer to that is yes.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. And let me see. Just real quick. Let's see. And for the drill down, when you refer to patient detail case list, would that include the operation ID?
We can include op type within the case list, yes, we can.
Oh, no, she means operation ID. In the congenital world, it's patient ID and operation ID. Operation ID corresponds to record ID for adult cardiac and general thoracic. So, but yes, your patient details would include the operation ID and patient ID, correct?
Right, we capture the operation ID, right? That's in our application? Yep. Okay, yep, that can be included.
Yep. All right. And I think that is, okay, yeah, that looks good for right now, Rhonda. I'm sure we'll have other questions that come through. So I'll go ahead and share my screen again. Let me see here. And we can just finish this out and then get on with our questions. Let me see here. Share screen. All right. Again, thank you, Rhonda. That was awesome. Just real quick. Oops, sorry about that. Support plan. Again, just please be sure to include your participant ID in those communications. Your resources available, the phone support for IQVIA tech support, as well as the tech support email. Again, also just a reminder, the STS National Database feedback form is posted out on the STS website. If you would like to provide us with any feedback, please utilize that form and that will come directly to us. My contact information, if you need to reach out to me directly, if you have any questions, again, feedback, if you don't feel comfortable using the feedback form, if you'd like to talk to me directly, you can reach me email or via phone. I'm happy to set up a call if needed with you directly one-on-one. Database operational questions for invoices, billing, and if you have questions regarding any invoices, the current contacts listed for your site, please reach out to us at stsdb@sts.org and we can get you a list of those contacts currently associated with your site. Once we are able to get our STS contact database integrated with the IQVIA platform, which we are working on, you'll be able to access a listing of your current contacts within the IQVIA platform. So again, that feature is coming. We are working very hard with IQVIA and getting that integration. Jane and team on the IQVIA team are working to get that into operation as quickly as possible. Here is a list or the schedule for our next webinars. We have our monthly webinar scheduled for April 20th at 12 p.m. Central, and our user group call, our next user group call is scheduled for May 4th at 12 p.m. Central. Please be sure to mark your calendars accordingly so you don't miss those calls. Again, if you can't join us, all these calls are recorded and posted to the website. Next, I'm going to turn things over to you all for our Q&A. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Let's see here. All right, oops, let me get my questions to where I can read them. All right, our first question from Heather. Will the analysis reports be available for beta testing? So yes, these reports will go through beta testing prior to release. Also, just to let you guys know, we, STS and surgeon leadership and IQVIA have been walking through all of these calculations to confirm accuracy and confirm the populations being included in each of these calculations. So just know that behind the scenes, STS and IQVIA are working and DCRI are working to confirm these calculations and make sure everything is have you all expected and calculations are accurate. Again, we are putting a lot of time and again, just working to ensure that the data as presented is being calculated correctly. Let's see here. For our next question, does IQVIA flag cases that should have been coded as a combination code? For example, a Glenn and a PA reconstruction that should have been coded as a combination procedure of superior cavopulmonary anastomosis plus PA reconstruction. Kelly, are you talking about within the data quality reporting? I assume that's what you're referring to. Oh, Kelly, hold on, let me unmute you.
I was just going to say her hand is up. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to. I guess there are a list of combination procedures that used to get flagged in the old data quality report.
Yes, Mel, I don't know, did you want to address that?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kelly. So there are warning messages, again, based on what's selected within the procedure list. It will look to see if there's a combination selected. If there's a partial, meaning that it's just a child code, that's an individual child code with maybe a parent code, and the full list is not selected of what's expected to create the combination, I believe there's a warning that fires in that instance. But there are warnings that are available, and they should be posted to the library. I'll do a quick double check to make sure, so you're able to see those warnings that are currently available.
Okay, I think I'm gonna I'll submit a ticket because I believe I have 4 or 5 from 2020 that I think should have been flagged but weren't. So
Okay.
I'll work with tech support and just double check.
Okay, and when did you do that? If these cases were uploaded before we added in that additional warning, and if there were no changes, the system may not flag coming in again if the record was not updated. So that could be a potential scenario, not sure.
Okay.
But
I just
that-
submitted a file, I think it was last week, maybe, that I submitted a file and I didn't see a flag.
You didn't see it?
No,
Okay,
so I'll just double check and work with tech support.
all right, okay.
Okay,
Thanks, Kelly.
thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. All right, let's see here. Next question from Beth. Will there be a report interpretation guide like before? Absolutely, Beth. We will, Donna and I will be working on the current report interpretation guide. We realize it's very lengthy, but we will be working to condense that information, and the report interpretation guide will be posted within the IQVIA library once the reporting dashboards are live, so that interpretation guide will be available to you. Let's see here. Next question from Carrie. Rhonda, your work is beautiful. I completely agree. It seems like the report will be very user-friendly, especially for quality improvement initiatives. And thank you, Carrie. We agree. Rhonda has done an amazing job with building these reports and put in a lot of time and work, and we appreciate it very much. She's done a great job. Next question from Kelly. Is STS leadership in the process of revising the case mix adjustment model? If so, what is the timeline for release?
Want me to answer that?
Sure. I was going to say, Dr. Meyer, I think that one's for you.
Yeah. Well, so we have 2 studies that have been done, as I'm sure you're all aware. One is a sort of redo, if you will, of the current STAT system, and the other is the so-called Harvard project. I think that the STAT upgrade included a lot more subcategories, if you will, of procedures, things that normally would have defaulted to the procedure with the highest STAT risk score, in a combination procedure. There are many more individual combinations that are now being considered separately for the risk model. That publication is coming out hopefully relatively soon. Whenever the World Journal is next published, because it's only four times a year that it's published. The contribution from the so-called Harvard project is that we have found, in particular, there are some things that we think could be information we could be used to further enhance the STS report. Some of those enhancements would be, rather than just defining a patient cohort by the operation, at least for some of the operations, we think that we should include both diagnosis as well as procedure. Where this is particularly important is in the palliative operations, shunts, bands, stage 1s, etc. That's where it seems to make the biggest difference. there are some more statistical methodology issues that are going to be addressed in a second manuscript, which will also affect the, this whole risk adjustment system. And without getting too far into the weeds, there are some statistical methodology discrepancies or disputes, shall we say, between the statisticians here and the statisticians at DCRI that we're going to have to, negotiate that or try to figure out how to reconcile, because some of them are pretty fundamental. So I don't think you're going to see anything in the report that's going to come out in whenever, May, I guess we're hoping. But after that, then you might start to see additional changes, and we just are going to have to work our way through all of the issues that have been identified. So the stat system itself has been upgraded. To summarize, the stat system has been upgraded, or at least the number of cohorts of patient groups has been increased significantly. And then the second piece is how we incorporate what we learned from the Harvard study into that. The real, the things that are hard to think about or hard to conceive of, I guess, at least for me, they were hard to conceive of, is there are a number of statistical measures, including, the one that everybody's sort of familiar with, which is the area under the receiver operating curve. But in fact, that has its limitations because it doesn't actually help discriminate very well between procedures. And there's a lot of technical details here that I think we will, in the aggregate, by taking all this information that we have now been working on, in sort of two parallel tracks, I think we're going to make it better. And I'm pretty confident about that. The other thing that's out there that we are hearing from parent groups, and we're going to be further investigating, is this question about what do we do with the benchmark operations, and do we just report raw data, or can we risk adjust the individual benchmark operations? And I don't know the answer to that, although I think there is a interest on the STS physician leadership side to do something like that. And then whether or not it's going to be one model for all the benchmarks, or an individual model for each benchmark, I think we're still in the process of sorting that out. But I do think certainly the patient families are asking us for, more data on at least the commonly done operations, which is how the benchmarks were sort of arrived at. So more to come on that.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Greatly appreciate that. All right. All right, Kelly and Carrie had asked to see the STS update slide. So that information is, I've got that slide up now, Carrie, so you should be seeing those updates. Let's see here. That's all that I have so far in terms of questions. I don't see anyone's hand up. I'll wait just a couple of more seconds to see if we have any other questions come in. We have about 9 minutes left. Let's see here. Just, I know for anyone that wasn't on the call last week, just a quick update. We are continuing with the upgrade. I didn't include it on the STS update slide as I had covered it last week, but we're continuing to work through finishing up the complication section, and then we'll tackling our discharge and process measures sections afterwards next. So we're hoping to get that done on our next call, which is Monday night. And then I've been working, Dr. Wiener and the CCAS committee have been working on the anesthesia update. So I'm incorporating that and we'll present that to our upgrade committee next week to share with them. Then we'll finish tackling up that anesthesia section, and we'll continue to move forward and present all the changes to our task force for final approvals. And then we'll also share final suggestions with the core group members as well. So again, just to give you a quick update on where things stand with the upgrade. All right, I'm not seeing any additional questions come in. So if anyone has anything you'd like to reach out to me directly, you have my contact information. Please feel free to email me. I just wanted to thank Rhonda and Melanie and the IQVIA team again for doing an amazing job on those on these dashboard reports. I've been getting a few comments. So Rhonda, everyone is really looking forward to these interactive dashboards, and you've done a great job. Rhonda, Melanie, IQVIA team. Thank you everyone for joining today. Thanks to my STS colleagues, Dr. Meyer, Chastity, Leslie, Melanie, Rhonda, IQVIA colleagues, Joe. Thank you everyone, and I hope you guys all have a great week, and we will chat with you all again on our next monthly webinar. Thank you all for joining today. I hope you all have a great week. Thank you everyone.
Thanks, Leanne.
Thank you, Heather. McCall, yes. Great job by Rhonda. All right. Thank you everyone.